All right, everyone, we are going to go ahead and get started here. Let me just get everything going in chat. I'm going to share the agenda, so if everybody or anybody rather wants to follow along, you can do that here. One moment. All right, the agenda is in chat. So we will get started. Just thanks for those who joined us in our kind of little change today where we, tried to have a bit of a chat before the meeting. We're going to keep that up, try to find new questions to ask. So thanks to everybody who participated in that. Okay, moving on. We are going to move into the agenda, but before I do, if this is your first time joining us, we do ask that you stay muted unless you're presenting or asking a question, just to make sure there's no feedback for folks who are speaking. If you do have a question and you can use the hand raise feature, great, please do that. Otherwise, if that's not working or available for you, feel free to just jump in if you have something you'd like to say or ask. So we will not have our treasurer's reports this evening. Our treasurer is dealing with a flooded basement like so many others in the area and around town. So he is not going to be joining us this evening, and we'll do this month's treasurer's report and next month's at the next meeting. So we will go right into our guest speaker. We are joined tonight by Green Spot Columbus. If you're not familiar with Green Spot, you will be soon. David, if you have anything you'd like to share on the screen, please feel free, but otherwise the floor is yours.
Great. Thanks, Jess, and good evening, everybody. And I don't know about you all, but yeah, the storms kept me up to like 3 o'clock this morning, and then we had a sick cat after that, so kind of going on 2 hours of sleep here. But it's always good talking with you all. I really enjoy the neighborhood festival that you all put on outside the COVID years, every year. It's always super cool to hear the music, and it's just one of the most like down-to-earth festivals. So I'm looking forward to doing that again this year. But if you're not familiar with Green Spot, so it's a program the city started in order to inspire, educate, and recognize households, businesses, community groups, and neighborhoods that adopt sustainable practices, and we try to help them achieve their sustainability goals. Free to join, free to be a member. We're housed at the Department of Public Utilities, and we're part of the Sustainable Columbus initiative. So again, it's how many people are Green Spot members or have heard of Green Spot? Do the little hand raise thing if you would, or write it in the chat. So basically, you make commitments to conserve and protect water, conserve energy, and reduce waste through reduce, reuse, recycle. And we have over 40 different ideas, I think over 50 now, in which to live more sustainably. Some of the things that you get, like when you join, you get a cool Green Spot decal. If you happen to join when we're out at an event, we have the Green Spot water bottles that we're giving out. We're hoping to get t-shirts, so hopefully that will be out soon. You also get a welcome letter from the mayor mailed to you. That's the only thing that we mail out. And then you also get your own personalized e-dashboard where you can kind of track what you're doing to be green. And you can also change up your commitments too, if you want. And some of those commitments you can actually enter in like data of how many times you used a reusable bag and things like that. And that helps us kind of know what the community is doing and like how much greenhouse gas emissions have been reduced, how much water has been saved, etc. And it ties into our climate action plan that we came out with earlier this year, which our goal for that is to be carbon neutral by 2050. And one of those sections in there is to empower a community of climate leaders. And so that's really where Green Spot comes into play. And we have a committee working on it, right? But I think we have about a dozen or so people representing just as many groups. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to launch something within the next couple months. I'm waiting on a couple things to fall into place. But anyhow, we have an e-newsletter that goes out. We're on social media. We're also doing like membership kind of added value. And so like some of our members are going out to the landfill later this year. We're going to a transfer station. So all those really cool things. I'm working on a wastewater treatment plant tour because who doesn't want to go on a wastewater plant treatment tour? We also go out to high quality wetlands too. We went out to some that the city owns and saw the frogs and the salamanders and all that cool stuff. So one of the things that we're also doing is the Urban Heat Island Project, and it's funded by NOAA. And basically, I won't read what a heat island is. It's right there on the screen. But basically, we are susceptible to heat waves and flooding, which we've experienced both within the last, 3 weeks? And those are probably going to get worse unless we do something about it to mitigate our emissions and to adapt to climate change. So what this map will do is allow us to see where are those hot spots in town. It will allow us to focus our Green Spot Community Backyards tree program along with Recreation and Parks tree program. It'll help us inform where we should put like resiliency hubs. It'll also help Recreation and Parks with their tree canopy study. It'll kind of dovetail nicely off of that. But we're looking for volunteers, and we need about 150 volunteers. We're at about 100 and I think 112, 113 right now, so we're getting close. But basically, those volunteers will drive their car on a prescribed route. And we have little sensors that we're getting from NOAA that pick up the temperature and the humidity. And you just attach it to your car and you go. And you either stop after you're done with that route or you stop after an hour. We are working to get gas cards or Visa cards for the drivers. But yeah, and we'll have about 22 routes. We're still figuring out where they are. And Jess, I can send you the link where people could sign up for that. We are going to have a virtual volunteer training on the 21st of this month, and it will be recorded. You have to sign a waiver, and it just gives you a little bit more detail about the project and detail about the sensors and what we're going to be using it for. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to write them in the chat. All right, so the main reason I am here is our Green Spot Neighborhood Program. And in that monarch butterfly is on I think it's a dusty sunflower, was taken in a neighborhood here in Columbus. So they are out there. But it's a 3-year commitment. Each year you make a plan of what you want to work on for that year. So we have the 5 categories of sustainability: the water, energy, reduce waste, green transportation, and education. We find that I think just about anything sustainability related kind of fits in one of those 5 categories. A group that applies has to already be an existing group with defined boundaries. So for example, civic association, area commission, historic district, something like that. And again, just defined boundaries. It could be like in Discovery District, when they joined, they had the civic association join, and obviously that encompasses the historic district that's there as well. And it brings neighbors together. So you basically have a meeting, virtual meeting, or however, in person, like back in the day, and you go over what you think the neighborhood should work on. There's a number of things that you can choose to do. Maybe it's promoting the Green Spot Community Backyards program, where you get a $50 rebate off a rain barrel, or $50 off native tree, or $25 off native plants. And our friends at Franklin Soil and Water Conservation District, they're the ones that implement that portion of the program with us. Maybe it's encouraging neighbors to compost. So we could connect you with some of the composting services that are around town. One day, I hope the city of Columbus, will have composting here. I don't know if it'll be residential composting or drop-off composting, but I know it is on the radar of the city. So stay tuned for that. Maybe it's organizing a bike ride through Merion Village to look at some of the historic markers and things like that. So there's actually like a dozen or so things that we have, but if there's nothing on there that really sparks your interest, you can actually, come up with your own ideas, and we want to help you achieve that. It's something that is, maybe it's like with recycling, educating neighbors of what's recyclable, what's not, so we can provide materials for that. Maybe it's like, I know with our Sawmill Place community, they were kind of lobbying Morpsey and the city to put in some multi-use paths up there to connect to the sawmill wetlands. So that they put that in their neighborhood plan. So there's a number of things that you can do with that. We do require that you recruit at least 300 new Green Spot members over the course of those 3 years. It sounds like a lot, but it's really not. Clintonville, they're a Green Spot member, and believe it or not, they actually joined pretty late. They were, I think, our 3rd or 4th. I think they were our 4th Green Spot neighborhood. But they got a whole bunch of people signed up in year 1 that like blew that 300 out of the water. And they're doing a kind of a cool project with one of the fire stations here. So they're tearing up the non-native vegetation, and they're going to plant native plants there in shrubs. So it's a cool way to kind of engage with the firefighters and as a kind of a community asset, having a fire station and all that. So for like kind of the recognition aspect of it, and that's I have to say, I don't know if you know who Ryan Foshi is. He sits on our advisory board. He does a lot of really good work. He's a co-chair of the Green Spot neighborhood in Clintonville, but he's kind of spearheaded this project. And this used to all be not an invasive, but a non-native shrub. And we tore it all out. It took forever, but it was a really cool community thing to do. We had maybe 6 or 7 people there. And you can see they put down leaves and bags to kill everything. And then this year they got plants, and they're going to be planting the native plants. So in terms of like the recognition aspect, we're always like, if you all are doing something, we want to highlight it on our social media. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So we want to highlight what you're all doing because that could inspire other neighborhoods to be more sustainable. You get 2 street signs. They're about the same size as like one of the parking signs or no parking signs. So it's like what, like 12 by 18. So those can go up wherever you'd like. As long as it meets code and all that, and the city will pay for that. If you want more signs put up, we could give you the artwork, and then that's kind of on you in terms of the cost. And again, meeting code and all that type of stuff. Um, Year 2, you get recognized at our Green Spotlight celebration. So that celebration is to recognize 3 of our Green Spot business members, a small, medium, and large, that have really demonstrated over the past year sustainable practices. We also highlight our graduates of our Green Spot Sustainable Business class, which is actually going to be starting up again next month. So if you know a business that might be interested in going through that course, we meet once a month for 6 months, about 2 hours. It acts as a forum for businesses to talk to one another about their sustainability journey and their successes, their obstacles. We also bring in experts in the various fields to talk about best management practices. But then the other thing at that recognition is you get recognized for it. So the last neighborhood was Clintonville, so they got recognition, certificate of recognition from City Council and from the mayor's office. Uh, let's see, Kevin, I think you have a question.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering how Green Spot sort of coordinates with other city departments to sort of make some stuff happen, if it does. The thing that came to mind to me was zoning. There's a zoning rewrite going on, and I was curious if Green Spot had any, comments or participation in the zoning, rewrite or things along those lines to get more stuff kind of codified and into the way stuff gets done around the city. Similarly, do bike lanes and stuff ever get, recommended by Green Spot with people redoing streets or, dealing with infrastructure? So just curious how it interfaces with other neighborhood or other city departments.
So in terms of like actual policy recommendations, we don't do any. However, like our Chief Sustainability Officer, Brian Clark, in the Sustainable Columbus office, he does that kind of behind the scenes, along with some of our other folks on the team, like Aaron Beck. So they'll work with other departments to make those things happen or to encourage those things. But in terms of like policy, where it's like Green Spot is taking a position on this, like we don't do that because we're more of a community engagement, like direct community engagement type of program on like what the community can do to live a little bit more sustainably. But if it's something where it's like, you want to get more information on like the zoning code rewrite and you don't know who to talk to, that type of thing, then we can certainly connect you with the right person at the city for that.
Okay. I suppose it makes sense to hear that it's engagement focused and not necessarily policy focused. So makes sense.
Yeah, and now we do. I mean, we also we like to amplify other city departments what they're doing sustainability wise. So like the recreation parks, urban forestry master plan. Also, like even within our own department, we had an energy savers program that worked in Linden and Milo Grogan to encourage energy efficiency audits and things like that, and actually providing some of the like water saver kits to households. We also teamed up with like the Ohio Hispanic Coalition to go out and actually install some of the water saver kits in households as well. So we do a little bit about like promoting other city department green initiatives like the LinkedIn. Now I know there's a lot of things that like, and I'm kind of right there. It's like I wish we would do more on this, and personally, I encourage everybody. One of the things about being green is to make your voice heard, right? So if nobody hears, if nobody in the city hears anything from the community about going green, the city's not going to do anything green. So we want to hear that feedback. We want to hear that criticism. We want to hear that how can we do things better. At least, from my standpoint, I'm sure other people in the city might not necessarily, subscribe to that, but yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mhm. And actually, that's kind of all I have for our Green Spot Neighborhood program. Again, it's a 3-year commitment, and then you make your commitments each year. It could be the same commitments each year. It could be new commitments. Some of the neighborhoods, like I said, they kind of broke it up into, this year is energy and water, next year is transportation and reducing waste. We've had, like with the sawmill ones, like they just emailed me the application and they're like, here. And I was like, oh, that's great, and then like Discovery District, we were with them from the very beginning when one person there was kind of the champion of it and was there at the meetings when people came in and kind of put post-it notes over, on the different categories that they wanted to work in. The other thing too is like having somebody that is kind of like the lead in that particular commitment. Otherwise, if there's no accountability, it's not going to get done.
I have 2 quick questions, David. The first is how many green neighborhoods do you have? Green spot neighborhoods do you have right now?
So right now, I would say we have one active one. So and that would
Oh,
be
wow.
Clintonville. They're the last ones that joined. Um, Discovery District, they were the first Green Spot neighborhood, and I want to say that was back in 2014. They had 2 champions, and those champions moved on, and so that's why it's like important that yeah, like there's a champion there. That's also why we only have a 3-year commitment.
Mhm.
You can extend that after that 3 years, but we didn't want to have, like, if you go to our website, columbusgreenspot.org, under Greenspot Neighborhoods, you'll see that there are dates. So, like with there, I think it's 2014 to 2016 or 17. So you can see when they were considered a Green Spot neighborhood. Um, with Sawmill Place Community, kind of the same thing happened. They were very active, and actually through the Sawmill wetlands, and I don't know if folks know about the wetlands up there or the story behind it, but long story short, it was going to get demolished and a medical supply store was going to go up. It was stopped. The neighborhood got together, stopped it with some environmental groups, and now Ohio Department of Natural Resources has invested a lot of money in that to kind of bring it back. And so it's a very people-friendly area that you can go in and walk on the boardwalk. There's vernal pools there, seasonal wetlands. You can see fairy shrimp certain times of the year. You can see, like I usually table there and I sample the water. And if we're lucky, sometimes we get smallmouth salamanders and all that. Anyhow, I'm kind of going down the vernal pool route, which I've been notorious to do. So I'm going to pull back from that. German Village, they were the other Green Spot neighborhood. And right now they're kind of like in an in-between state. So they had some turnover there. They're looking to get back involved, but they're not fully engaged quite yet.
Thank you. That's very helpful to know. My other question is when we look at the item for bringing on 300 new members over the course of the 3 years, does that include both residential and business members within that community?
It does. So and it's also so I could run the list of our membership database to see how many existing Green Spot neighborhood or existing Green Spot residential members and Green Spot businesses are within Merion Village. So you kind of have that baseline. Um, but yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't matter if people rent or if they own a home. There's some things in there that are a little bit more structural, geared more structurally. So like, insulating the walls, but there are other things that are more behavioral, like reducing miles traveled, carrying a reusable bag, all that type of thing.
Thank you very much. There's one question in chat from Zach. If you wanted to just take a quick peek at that, I wasn't sure if there was something on that you wanted to elaborate on.
Yeah. So let's see here. Oh, so looks like Allison said that you already have a composting team through Compost Exchange. We do that here, like personally, we do that. And that's something too where like if you join the neighborhood, Green Spot neighborhood, put that in there because it's something that you're doing and it's a great way to get recognized. So it doesn't have to be something necessarily new that you're doing, but you're continuing to do. And then, yeah, Zach's thinking about that too. What support do city agencies provide to Green Spot neighborhoods to make sure projects come to fruition and are sustainable? So it depends on like what that goal is, to be honest. Like if it's something where you're like, you know, we want to like be more water efficient. We want to educate our neighbors about that. So, we have like X amount of water saver kits that we could give you to hand out, or with the rain barrels through our backyards program and the rebate program. If it's something where it's like, I'm trying to think of other examples. I'm sure you might have an example that you're thinking about. But yeah, so we do like illegal dumping. That would be another one, right? So I know Public Service and Keep Columbus Beautiful are doing a lot regarding illegal dumping. I get a lot of emails, believe it or not, regarding that. There's nothing I could really do except connect them with like 311 and with RE and DPS, Department of Public Service. So it's on their radar. There's also the Litter League that's going on right now that Keep Columbus Beautiful is doing. So basically, you could sign up a team, and they provide gloves, trash bags, litter picker uppers. I'm not quite sure what the official name of those are, and safety vests, and I think that might be it. But anyhow, you go out and you pick up litter in the neighborhood, and you record how many bags you picked up. And with the Litter League, you get free tickets to the Clippers game. So, like for instance, tomorrow night is the first one. I think there's 3 or 4 Clippers games that you'll get in free when you sign up for that. And I want to say you have to participate. I think every other week, like an hour or two. And there's also a litter index that the city put together where you can see where some of the more littered areas of town are.
Thank you. And I think looks like Rada has a question.
Yes, and I apologize for joining late, and I may have missed this portion. It sounds like yes, there's individual members that would be signing up, but really we would, as an association, sign up for this initiative. Am I correct in understanding that?
Yeah, so as an association, if you determine that you wanted to be a Green Spot neighborhood, since you all have defined boundaries and you're an existing organization, you would be the qualifying applicant on that. You fill out the application. If you want my help with that, so kind of every step of the way, I'm more than happy to do that. If you're like, Dave, we're adults, we know what we're doing, just go away and we'll submit it to you when we're done. That's okay too. Like we're pretty flexible. Like the whole point of it though is engagement and developing sustainable habits as a neighborhood.
Absolutely. And what I love is that everything I'm hearing you talk about, we already do on many levels. So if anything, it's just creating more awareness and really documenting the things that we're already doing. It just like Green Spot, it'll highlight and point to these special initiatives. Pretty neat.
Yeah, and one last thing too is like with our CTV folks, they do a lot of the videos and things like that. Like on the City of Columbus's YouTube page, they do most of those videos. If it's something where you want to highlight what you're doing in video form, we'll work with them. We'll bring them in to put together a video on the work that you're doing, and then
I love that. Yeah, it
out there.
highlights our neighborhood as well. Wonderful.
Sounds fantastic. Anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask Dave? Okay, I think that might be it. David, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for also joining us again at the festival this year. We're so excited to have you back as a vendor. Help spread the word even further. What we will do is we will share this information with folks in the neighborhood and see if we can get folks together who might be interested in helping us pursue Green Spot neighborhood. And if so, we will certainly be in touch to file an application.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. It was great talking with you, and have a good rest of the meeting.
Thanks. Have a great evening.
Bye.
All right, everyone. So if you like what you heard, if you're interested in potentially being part of an exploratory committee where we can determine if the association would like to apply for a Green Spot neighborhood and take that on as a new effort, just shoot me an email, president@merionvillage.org. I'll also put a couple announcements out on social media so folks know that we're kind of gathering interest. And if we have enough interest, we will look at pursuing that. So wonderful. Thanks everybody for participating in that discussion. All right, quick update here. Some of you who have attended recent meetings are probably already aware of this, but if not, some neighbors who live immediately around the Mid-City Garage restaurant over on Jaeger brought up to us that there were some concerns over the last year and a half, some issues with very loud music late at night, problems with patrons entering their yards to relieve themselves in various ways that are not so pleasant. So what we've done is we've reached out to the ownership team from Mid-City Garage and those neighbors, and we are working on scheduling a special meeting so that we can talk about those concerns and then potentially come to a good neighbor agreement that the association will help draft and put into place. That meeting is likely to, well, that meeting will take place in one of the final 2 weeks of July. Once we have the date solidified, we will send a membership notification out on that so folks know when that is. If you'd like to attend and participate in that discussion, even if you don't live nearby, you may still want to kind of hear what neighbors are saying and have that discussion. So everyone is of course welcome to attend, and we'll announce that very soon. All right, another quick reminder, through the end of September, we have fitness in the park every Saturday morning beginning at 9 a.m. So various yoga courses led by volunteer instructors. They are donation-based classes where we recommend a $5 to $10 donation for each class. And immediately following class, our friends from Community Grounds actually set up in the park as well so that you can get yourself some coffee or tea and treats and refuel from your yoga workout. So, and even if you're not going to yoga, you can head on over with your dog and grab a treat then and take it home. See, Rada's on board for that. So please remember that that is happening through September, and classes have been going really well. It seems like folks are really enjoying them. So I believe this is the 3rd year we've had these yoga classes in the park. So really excited that people have been liking those, and we hope they will continue. All right, I'm going to turn the floor over to our Vice President, Lauren, to talk about the 2022 Southside Scholarship.
Hey, Jess, can we actually come back in a minute or two? She just walked away.
We will come back to that in a minute or two. just let me know when she's back and we'll be good.
Thanks.
All right. Instead, I'm going to turn the floor over to Allison to talk about the garden tour, the 23rd annual garden tour, which is this Sunday. So, Allison.
Sorry, one second. I was almost, can you, sorry. Okay. All right, yes. So we are very excited about the tour this year. We had a really good committee who put together a great tour. It's got 17 stops, 13 gardens, 2 parks, 1 church, and the info center. So we will have that this weekend, Sunday, 10 to 3. We have 4 pedicabs, maybe 5, that have been sponsored by businesses. So we're excited about having that again. And, we're just really excited to get out and see people walking around again and, get into have that personal touch there with the tour instead of, watching it on a computer this year. So thanks again to the committee. Really pulled this one through. It was like, a couple meetings into it, we were like, well, we have 2 gardens, so maybe we will, it's kind of how it always starts though. And then people start seeing it, getting interested and stuff. So we're really excited. If anybody has any questions, just post the link to the digital brochure. We do have a suggested route that we just kind of suggest one end to the other. That kind of makes it easier to follow. So you're not kind of hopping around. You can pick up the printed brochures at any of the stops. And if you'd like to stop into the info center first and say, hey to Jess, grab a cookie and a drink of water, you could do that. But if you have any questions, just let us know. You can reach out to the board, or you can send the garden tour email. I think it's gardentour@merionvillage.org. You can reach out to us there too. So looking forward to it. Thanks, Jess, for all your help.
And if you're also on the tour and you have your kids with you and your kids are like, hey, I need
Yes.
a break, we'll have coloring pages at the info center along with those cookies. So you can cool
Yes.
off in the AC, let them get out some coloring and energy and, have a bit of a better day. It'll be great.
Right. And Sherry Palmer will be at Walker Park. She's a neighbor. She used to work at Keep Columbus Beautiful. She's retired. She lives in Southern Orchards, I think. She wrote a book, and so she'll be there signing and sell. You can buy her book there. She'll have a special price on her book, and she'll be signing it. And then Chilljoy will be at Moeller Park too, where you can get some of her yummy treats too. So make sure you start early because we got a lot of stops.
There's a lot. There
Have
are
to plan it out.
17 stops. There's a
Plan it
ton of
out.
stuff to do. Well, Allison, as always, thank you for chairing this event again. This is one of our favorite events. I mean, it's been going on for 23 years, so it's wonderful to see it continuing. Super excited to have it back in its first full form since 2019. So very, very thrilled that so many folks signed up and are going to be joining us on this year's tour. Hope to see everybody there. Weather looks good, so everybody just keep hoping for perfect weather. All right, Lauren, are you back?
I am back.
Okay, Lauren, we'll talk about the scholarship now.
Sure. I apologize for not having my video on. I have COVID, as so many people do lately. So it's not a pretty picture over here right now. But yeah, so the scholarship committee recently, so we had $2,000 to work with from the chili cook-off and the the Facebook fundraising, which was an amazing amount of money. And so we have selected 2 applicants, and we're going to be announcing to those individuals this week that they will receive a scholarship. So at the next meeting, we'll be able to announce the names and a little bit more information about the students who were selected. But yeah, it's really exciting and yeah, exciting stuff.
Lauren, I want to take a quick minute to thank all of you on the committee for doing this again. Committee does, they make sure the application's in great shape and get it out to folks and then do the review process. Would you just share quickly, because I'm going to forget someone, everyone that helped with the committee this year and participated in the process?
Yep, we have Stacy McWhirter, Kenny Dan, and I'm saying his name correctly, Mark Huckabee, and Katie Eidel.
Awesome.
So there's 5 of us.
And Lauren. Yeah, so thank you guys. This is always such an exciting process every year. I feel like it gets better, and thank you again for all your work.
Well, I just want to thank everybody who contributed. The chili cook-off around the Facebook fundraiser. So we really, couldn't do it without all the donations and all the chilies and the people who eat them. So thanks, everyone.
Fantastic. All right, we will talk now about the festival. We are still planning is well underway. We've got that coming up on Sunday, September 11th from 12 to 6. Lots of great things happening at the festival this year. We'll of course have food trucks, we'll have vendors. There will be a bike corral again hosted this year by Bikes for All People. So we're really excited about that because, as we all know, parking is always a bit of a factor. So we're really excited to promote that bike corral, and hopefully, folks who maybe aren't exactly in walking distance can bring their bike down and still get to the festival pretty easily. Otherwise, the thing that we have going on right now is with regard to this year's t-shirt design. But first, Zach's got his hand up, so I'm going to let Zach jump in before I move on to that next portion.
Sorry, hi. Quick question about bikes. Are we participating at all with Kogo? I know there's the stop right there across from the park. Do they do any sort of increased service during that, or is there any way to get that to happen?
When Kogo first launched in the area, I think that was probably maybe 5 years ago. They actually came and participated in the festival. They were really engaged. Unfortunately, after that first year, our communication with them and contact kind of fell off. We would certainly love to, talk to them about maybe seeing if we can get them involved in that. So if anybody has any suggestions or any contacts, if they know, we would love to engage them for that. I think that's a great idea.
That's helpful.
I'm going to grab something really quickly. So this is kind of a two-parter. So something that we've been talking about recently, as we've now decided to keep these meetings virtual, is, how to make the meetings more engaging and also make sure things run well for folks. So one of the items we discussed is the voting process. If you've participated in one of our meetings in a vote, you know that if there's a lot of folks present, or for example, a zoning item with a lot of variances, it can be a lengthy process, which maybe isn't always the smoothest. So we would like to test out whether or not it is feasible to essentially use a voting form during these meetings. We're not able to use the polling option in Zoom for a couple different reasons. One, let's say somebody is joining only as one participant. For example, Lauren and Mike are both with us right now, but they're only logged in as one person, so they wouldn't be able to both vote. So I'm going to paste a link in chat here. And this is a link to a voting form for our 2022 t-shirt design. So this link, you'll see 4 different designs featured, which were submitted by neighbors, and everybody is going to have an opportunity to vote on that between now and July 15th to determine what is on this year's t-shirt. So the idea is to kind of use this and see if it's easy for folks to access this voting during the meeting, if folks are encountering problems. I think everyone's joining with the Zoom app, but if anybody is joining by phone, you could let us know what your experience is like. Basically just wanting some feedback. If you've been here for votes, how do you feel that process works? Do you have any thoughts on how we can make it better? Just want to make sure these meetings continue to be really engaging and productive, and want to hear from folks. So if anyone has anything they'd like to share, please do. Okay, well, that's Mark has already voted, so that was very quick. That's what we like to see. So it seems like that worked out pretty well. Mark, can you tell us, and Zach, looks like you voted as well. So you guys are here through the app, right? Right now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and were you just able to easily follow the link and you didn't have to leave the meeting or anything like that?
Yep, and at Ohio Health, we use those kinds of tools like that, a different one than Jot4, but we use that an awful lot, and it works out really well, and it's easy for everybody.
Okay, great, that's good to hear. We actually have next month, at least as of right now, there will be at least 2 zoning presentations with votes next month. So it would certainly be an opportunity for us to try this again and make sure it does work for folks. Likely, if there were motions called during a meeting, we would still do a verbal vote, just because it wouldn't really be possible to necessarily have the meeting form prepared ahead of time. But I will say the only difference in a voting form for like a membership vote that would differ from what you're seeing in the form right now, we would have to include a line, of course, for your name so that we can verify membership. So there would be a couple additional items during the vote, just because, those are things that are required for our bylaws as far as, verifying.
Yeah. Hey, Jen. Yeah, so the only thing I was thinking was if multiple people are in the household using their iPad or tablet or whatever, will it recognize anyone after the first person due to their IP address?
Yes, you will not be locked out of voting due to IP. What we will likely do is tie the unique voting to email address, since each member provides an email address anyway. But honestly, we don't really have a requirement to have any kind of unique voting built in, simply because we will require a name. And if we receive more than one vote for the same name, obviously we aren't able to count more than one. So there would certainly be some quirks to work out. And I think it would be a kind of an experience with all of us together determining how that goes, but everyone would be able to vote even from the same IP address.
Sounds good, thanks.
Anyone else have any thoughts or concerns about potentially moving in the direction of handling votes more like this?
Is that something we would have to update our bylaws on, or
We
vote
would.
on? And
We would. If this process works, our bylaws don't really have anything in them that deals with virtual meetings. And since we've decided to continue virtually meeting on an ongoing basis, we would essentially just need to propose language to the membership to vote on adding something to deal with virtual meetings and how votes are conducted during those. And something I didn't mention, even if we did proceed in this manner and we had online voting forms, the forms would not be available in advance of the meeting. So you wouldn't be able to really like absentee vote. They would be published during the meeting, and then they would be essentially disabled as soon as the vote ended during the meeting. So the vote period would still be, you know, at the same time that the ballot bylaws require. You couldn't vote ahead of time or later.
Question, Jess. How are the like results? Are you able to see like real time, and is it pretty okay? And is it pretty user friendly with that, like shareable and things like that?
Yes, the results are actually much easier than, so for example, what we do now is I have an Excel document built out where I just manually document how each person is voting on like each variance item. In the case of Jotform specifically, and what we would, you know, go to, essentially once voting concludes, Jotform just allows me to download an Excel document that has everything already included in the table and would give us the result from each one. So it is very user friendly and it is real time.
And Jess, is that link that was up a test only?
The link that we just used is the active link for the t-shirt voting, but you don't have to be a member to vote on that, which is why it was such a quick link. So that's just our current t-shirt design voting that will be good until Friday.
All right, cool. I put in ours with my address for Lewis because he wanted one different than me, obviously, as he always would, and it denied.
You use the same email address?
Yes. So
yes.
That's the trick, use a different address.
Yes, exactly. And especially for that contest, because that is a design contest. So we just want to make sure fairly to all of those individuals who submitted designs that people are only able to vote once. So yes, you would need a different email address to submit a second vote.
Got it. Thank you.
Radha?
Is it possible to suggest a tiny little edit to the one that we vote for? Like, is there a space? I haven't looked at it yet to add a comment.
So with the designs, we've never, in the past few years that were, I guess only 2 years that we've done this, we do let folks know when they're designing and submitting that, you know, based on the design they submit, first of all, it can only be in one color, but that also, if there are issues taking that design they created and being able to print it, that, you know, the printer may come back to us and say, hey, I've got suggestions for changing this. So everyone who submits knows there is a possibility that their design may need to be altered in order to make it a printable design, but otherwise we typically don't add too many comments, just to, you know, let people kind of design in their own way.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone have anything else they'd like to comment on, just either on the voting process or even on the t-shirt design contest? No? Okay. Well, 12 of you have already voted, so that was very fast. Thank you so much. I'm glad to see that it was not difficult for anyone and that it was pretty straightforward. So appreciate everybody helping us with that little test. Otherwise, keep your eyes and ears open for festival. We'll be announcing, you know, more information soon. We plan to go to print with our poster in the next couple of weeks, which we're really excited about. And yeah, then we'll have some door hangers to go around. So get ready to volunteer to help distribute the 3,000 door hangers that will go around the neighborhood. But very excited for our festival to come back this year. Okay. Moving on, committee updates. Nothing to share this evening for beautification. Same with membership. I will say that we, thanks to members of our garden tour committee and kind of just reaching out to businesses, we do have a total of 14 business members this year. So we are very, very excited. You'll see those business members thanked in our garden tour brochure. And of course, you can also visit our website and go to the business members page to visit their websites, see where they're located, if they're local, and you know, certainly hope that you'll help sponsor or support our sponsors. Let's see, Mike, do you have the next social Third Thursday planned?
Yeah, and we had a last minute text over to me from Allison actually to give me some inspiration. So I think what we'll do is South Bend Tavern, which is on Moeller. So I don't think we've had a happy hour there before. So selfishly, that's a very easy walk for me. So I'm thinking, so we usually do the third Thursday for anyone that's new. Third Thursday, we do a happy hour with, anyone in Merion Village or, anyone that wants to join. And this month, that would be the 21st and 6 o'clock, I think, is the time. We used to do a little earlier and no one really showed up till 6 anyways. So I think we'll stick with that for a while and see how it goes. So 6 o'clock, South Bend on the 21st. Hope to see everyone there, and feel free to wear your Merion Village flag if you want to be able to pick people out easy in the neighborhood. Although I'm sure most people there are probably fairly local anyways.
Awesome. Mike, thank you for continuing to plan these. I know that folks do enjoy them, so thank you very much.
Absolutely.
As I mentioned, we will have at least 2 zoning applications to review next month. Tate, do you have anything you want to share on zoning other than that?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so look out for those 2 notifications coming before next month's meeting. Let's see here. Does not look like we have any of our area commissioners joining us this evening, so we will skip over the Southside Area Commission updates. Otherwise, events that are coming up, obviously we have the garden tour this Sunday. Hope to see everyone there. The next Merion Green Cleanup, which Merion Village Association is helping to sponsor this year, is Saturday, July 23rd. That's from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and they meet in Moeller Park. So we hope folks will come out for that. Allison, or do you want to?
Sorry, I was just going to say that reminded me. I'm going to send a message out like on Facebook and Nextdoor and stuff. But if you have a few minutes, Sunday morning or Saturday later in the day, you can pick up some trash around your house or your block or whatever, because we do have quite a few people who come from out of the neighborhood. And so we want to make sure that our neighborhood is showing in its best light on tour day. So if everybody could help out a little bit with that, I'll be driving the route about a gazillion times between now and then. So I'll be helping with at least the route, but if everybody could kind of pitch in, that'd be super helpful and greatly appreciated.
Thank you for that reminder. Let's see here. The Southside Area Commission will have their next meeting on Tuesday, July 26th from 6:30 to 8. They are meeting at Barrack Rec Center. Then, of course, our next monthly meeting will be the first Wednesday of August, which is the 3rd. And last but not least, the festival, again, September 11th. We've got some time, but not as much time as you think. So if you know someone who might want to be a vendor at that event, send them our way. We are taking vendor applications through August 14th, unless all of our spaces are filled before then, and then those will close early. So still looking for makers, local businesses, anyone who might like to join us. There are a couple different vendor types that we've already filled all of the spaces available. Those are notated on the application. So if there is anyone interested in that, and we don't have space available for their type anymore, then that is listed on the application. So, certain retail consultants, we don't want to have too many and just certain types of business. So we will continue to update that as the spaces are filled, but eager to get those filled up with local businesses and local makers whenever possible, though we will certainly consider vendors from other areas. We just love to prioritize our local folks when we can. Otherwise, I'm going to open the floor. Anybody have any questions, anything they'd like to share?
A question.
Sure.
So I'm fairly new to the neighborhood. I noticed all those Merion Village planters around. I was wondering if those are still available, where they came from.
Oh, the planters. I will condense this as much as possible. The planters that we have in place now were inherited from another neighborhood many years ago. Some have been updated, others have not. They were previously kind of managed where, a business or a resident could ask the association to adopt a planter and have it, near their home or business to maintain. But for the last several years, there really has not been a beautification committee in place to really monitor those. So we don't currently have any planters in storage. Everything that is out there has been deployed. And unfortunately, we don't really have a good idea of which ones are actively being maintained and are not. So if you're interested in helping to reignite the beautification committee, Eric, we would certainly always be interested to have new volunteers for that. But as of right now, there is no process for really taking on a planter if there isn't already one sitting in front of your house. Awesome.
I will add that like we had one of our neighbors wanted a planter. Well, then his work schedule got a little more busy, so he couldn't really take care of it. We had another neighbor who was interested in taking it over, so we just moved it down to his house. So that is a possibility, but over the years of switching hands and neighbors and stuff like that, we don't really have a great contact list. But I would be, if you see one that looks like maybe it's been neglected, which is a majority of them, that you're interested in, or maybe it's closer to your house, I think that either I or anyone else familiar with those could help you determine whether or not it can be moved or not. So, just let us know.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're right. There are no shortage of planters that, for lack of a better word, have been abandoned.
And there is a business that has 2 of them that they just did on their own. Like they literally just came and took them like one night, and I mean, so they have 2. So if it comes down to it, we could say, hey, we got a neighbor that wants one. We're gonna move it. Right.
If you see one and you have one in mind, and you think, hey, that planter could use some love, you can always reach out to us. Just mva@merionvillage.org. We'll get to one of us, and we can look to see if there is potentially a relocation opportunity to maybe have a planter be a bit better maintained. A Google map of all planter locations would be amazing, but we would have to know where they all were first.
Well, we did have that list, so we spent a lot of time making that list. And I'm sure it lives somewhere in some folder, but it wouldn't be a bad idea. And I drive the streets a lot, so I could start writing them down. But I do have a list that I did create with a couple neighborhood kids once.
I was gonna say that could be a fun evening walk activity over a course of a week or 2, and I'd be happy to throw that on a Google map if it's at all helpful.
We do love Google Maps. We've been using Google Maps for a lot of our events. We've got one coming up here for the garden tour. We use them for the yard sales. At one point, there were some local maps for all of the little free libraries and little free pantries in the area. So yeah, I think a Google Map would be a great idea. But yeah, we would definitely need to do a little bit of an audit. We do have the list, Allison. That is like the only list anyone's ever made, and so we do definitely still have it. I think it just probably needs to have a little verification, since we know some have probably been relocated, some have been hit by vehicles and smashed into little bits. So there's been some of the planters have been through it.
Well, and it sounds like Zach is volunteering. Am I
It
hearing?
does.
And Zach, we appreciate it.
Zach's getting himself in trouble lately volunteering so
I love
much.
Zach is no longer all of a sudden talking. He's like, wait, did I?
What? I'm trying to do one little thing at a time, but I think taking a walk with a list in my hand would be very doable.
Awesome.
Okay.
Or on a bike ride, that'd be fine.
Thanks, Zach.
All right. Anyone else have any questions? Anything they'd like to share before we adjourn for the evening? All right. Well, we are just under an hour, so good, efficient meeting tonight, everybody. Thank you again. And one more reminder, if you are interested in Green Spot and potentially helping us pursue the Green Spot neighborhood, please reach out so we can start gathering folks' names. And then, of course, look out for social media if we do any kind of sign-up list for a potential exploratory committee. So thanks again, everyone, for being here. Hope to see you next month. Definitely hope to see you all this Sunday at the garden tour. So very looking forward to it. Everybody have a great evening, and I hope your basements are dry.
Eesh. See you Sunday at the tour.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
See ya.
Take care.